Does Pathogen actually heal faster when she has both heals down? Or is everyone that's doing this just wasting it? Hey guys, Nightfall here, and today's video is going to be about 6 things that I've either been asked or seen someone else in my game do and asked myself about FragPunk and does that actually work? A lot of times we need these myth busting style videos to answer some of the more pressing questions about how cards work or how Lancer abilities work, and coming from my quality check video days back in X Defiant, I think I'm the right one to test these out. Let me first start by saying that if you do like these videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date. And before we jump into the first test, I want to give some kudos to the developers of this game for giving us an amazing custom match right out of the gate. It lets you change literally anything and everything you want, taking a lot of the guesswork out of these videos. So let's go ahead and get right into the first question, and that is, does Pathogen actually heal faster with both her cans deployed at the same time? And the way I set this up is I start the timer at the first HP gain and I stop it after 3 seconds. We started here at 84 HP, and with 1 canister down, we gained a total of 16 health. Now the next test is throwing that second one on top of the one that is already down, and we start at 113 HP. Following the same rules, let both of these run for 3 seconds, and we've gained a total of 15 HP, which is basically the same thing. And just know that with any of these tests like this, there's always room for a small margin of error on my part when cutting frames, but overall I can confidently say that throwing down both of your heals as a Pathogen does not heal you any faster or any more, and you are in fact wasting them like a dummy. Moving on to our next test, and this is one that I've suspected a long time ago since the game first came out: the Turtleback card. Is it also protecting parts of your side? This card is only supposed to stop bullets from hitting you in the back. You can still be shot in the back of your legs, but having gone against this card enough times, I'm almost certain it blocks more than just your back and includes wraparounds to the side as well. But that's why we're here, to see if I'm just crazy or if I'm actually being cheated. So I pulled up on some bots to test this out, and it seems like some Lancers are more immune to these shots than others. You can see here that Pathogen has a little extra protection on the sides, but Broker is by far worse than that. As you can see here, he has whole areas on his side now that are just immune to bullets with this card. And if you thought that was bad, look at this. She just ate a hollow point sniper round to the dome. So I think it's safe to say this Turtleback card is way too overpowered, and it does actually protect more than just your back. The next test here is the Squatmaster card, which is a card that allows you to basically crouch spam to gain extra health. And my immediate thought was, oh, great, someone's gonna make a keyboard macro to abuse this. Luckily, this card isn't available in ranked, but I still had to put it to the test, so I was that person and I set up a keyboard macro and put my controller down on that button on the keyboard to hold it down, went to grab a snack, and I came back. And while there doesn't seem to be a cap to this card in terms of how much HP you can gain, realistically there does seem to be a max speed at which you can crouch and gain that HP. And in an actual game, you'd probably never make it over the low 200s of health, and that's if you were just crouch spamming the entire game. I did get it a little bit over 450 HP here, and I'd be curious to see what leaving this going for the full hour of this round that I have set up would actually get you. But because I don't want to sit here and watch something crouch spam for an hour, quick math tells me that if I can get plus 322 health in the first 5 minutes of this, assuming there is no cap, if I let this run for the entire hour, I could have almost 4,000 HP, which isn't as absurd as it sounds when you remember that there's already a card that gives you 1,500 HP. That card is also not in rank, thankfully. Well, let's move on to the next test, and that is, can Hollow Point collat multiple people with her sniper? And the short answer here is yes. Yes, she can. I couldn't test it with all 5 because of how the bots line up at the start of the match, but I know for a fact she can get at least 3. And I wouldn't doubt that she can get 5 because of how broken that this Lancer really is. It's so sickening to the point that I've created a counter command on my stream to count just how many times I actually do die to this bitch's sniper. But moving on to our next test, and that is, does the O Compassion card affect teammates that are going even? This card's description says it only affects teammates with a negative KD, but what about those who are right there on the edge? So here is the base fire rate of the Fever, and I'll throw a timer up and we can see how much time it takes to empty a mag on this gun without any added effects, and we see that it's a 3.3 second from full mag to empty mag. Now let's test this after I've gone 0-2. And now you can see I can fire at almost exactly 10% faster, just as advertised, in about 3 seconds flat. But what about if your KD is even? So here you can see I'm 2-2 mid-round. Let's see if that slowed our speed back down. And what we find here is that we do still have the effects, and we do still shoot at 10% faster. However, at the start of the next round, I'm still even at 2-2, and it seems our fire rate has slowed back down to the base fire rate, which means that if you're even KD, you do not gain the effects of this card. So basically, to conclude here, it only helps you if you're negative to start the round. You don't lose its effect mid-round if you start going positive in that round, but if you start a round off at an even KD, then you do not get the benefits from this card. And then finally, our last test is one that will almost never happen, but it was one I thought of just randomly and I just needed an answer for it. What happens if you go into a duel and you either trade the final kill or the overtime penalty kills both remaining players at the same time? So let's speed this up and put that to the test and get your guesses in now. And there we have it. If you guessed it would be a draw, then you were right. I figured this might be the case, but I was still curious as the whole duel system I thought was partially there to prevent any draws from actually happening. This is probably the rarest screen in the whole game, and if you've ever had this happen before, let me know down in the comments. But that is all of the myths and questions that I have for this episode to test and bust. If you have any questions that you want me to put to the test or answer, make sure to leave them down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.